Welcome back to Renegade Radio for another episode of Mindset Monday. This is Dr. Todd, your host, and today I have my beautiful wife Carolina with me as we discuss the topic of put your money where your mouth is.
Enough is enough.
I want the world to be the best place for my children.
You are not alone.
We need renegades to be part of this movement, and they're the ones that are going to change the world.
Welcome back to Renegade Radio, the podcast dedicated to the dissenters of the status quo, bringing you the mindset and strategies to build a healthier, happier, and stronger family, the Renegade way.
It's so important to be a renegade.
G'day, gang. Dr. Todd, my beautiful wife Carolina here today. On this episode of Renegade Radio, you might be listening to it via podcast or watching the video on YouTube.
Which you'd be missing out on podcasts because we're doing video right now.
Yeah. Woo! We're on our back porch here in beautiful Queensland, sweating like dogs. It's really hot.
Really, really hot.
But we won't complain because we know there's folks in the States right now who are enduring really nasty blizzards. So we're praying that you're all safe and cuddled up with your families, getting ready for the holidays. And speaking of holidays, the topic we want to get into, today's recording is called "Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is," and what we mean by that is we want to talk about the topic of supporting local industry, local craftsmanship,
as much as possible.
Where possible.
Where possible.
And the more we support it, in our opinion, the more the consumers demand it, the more of it there will eventually be.
But how are consumers going to be demanding it?
How would consumers be demanding it? That's a great question, Carolina.
Maybe we can talk a little bit about that, because some consumers might not even think about that.
Well, look, so let's talk about our buying criteria. Why do we choose to shop at certain stores, and where do we choose to put our money in?
Well, I would even say why we choose to shop at certain stores, because I would say that we're being marketed to shop at certain stores, and we're being marketed to buy more at those stores because we can save.
That's right. So, we're just like any of you listening probably. We used to shop at the Costco and the Walmart if you're from America. And, we would go to Walmart, or you could go to Costco, and I'm sure you're listening. If you've been there, you can relate. You go there for one or two things, and you come out with a bunch of stuff that you really didn't need. But guess what? It was such a good deal. I got a new flat screen TV. Great, honey. What are we going to do with the old one?
And so I'll even venture to say that we first started rethinking how we shop, because when we lived in the States, I would go to Walmart or Target and go for like toilet paper and come out with the trolley full of stuff. And so we had a house full of stuff that I liked, and when we went to sell everything off to move to Australia, nobody wanted it.
Yeah, it was junk.
It was useless stuff, and we ended up actually giving it all away. So that was a real wake-up call for me to know that all these things, all these little treasures that I had accumulated were actually quite worthless. And then packing everything up, you do inventory of your possessions and see, well, what's worth making it into the suitcase? And there's really not a whole lot worth making it into the suitcase to come to Australia. So that means that everything that we had was pretty much
non-essential.
It's essential but non-essential. So anyways, since coming to Australia, we've really refined. We could do a lot better. We're still refining. But we could really refine our purchasing impact. So go on.
Yeah, so our buying criteria, I'm generalizing a little bit, but I think Carolina would agree that we, as a consumer-driven market, what's the best value for money? Where can I get more of something for less? And if you just look at all the marketing, the TV, newspaper, radio ads, it's all save and 20% off and discount. And
And if you're watching TV, you're watching programs which in the background has all this stuff that they're advertising for you to need.
And first of all, do you really need it?
Yeah, and we, we don't watch television. We don't watch, we don't watch television. We don't read the newspaper. We're cut off from all that media.
That noise, yeah.
That noise, and we don't really know what the latest fashion is. And because of that, we're not caught up in it. And I don't go to Big W, which is the equivalent to Walmart. We don't go to Kmart. We don't go to Costco. We don't go to Target. And we just have a lot less stuff. And we don't feel the need to consume.
So let's just keep going with this. So you might be thinking, what's your point, guys? I'm 5 minutes into this here. I'm almost to work. What's the point of this conversation? Conversation is this: what is going on in our economies globally, at least in the Western world? We'll talk about North America, Australia, where we are. People are hurting. People are looking for work. Industries are downscaling and shrinking. So, part of that is, or leaving. And so, you could argue that part of that is governmental interference and taxation, and so industry's just leaving. And industry can do more, cheaper overseas. And in theory, they're passing those savings on to the consumer, right? So what we've noticed here in our experience in Australia is, and that we've tried as much as possible to adopt, is we buy less, but we buy quality. We buy less, but we don't go to Costco and Kmart and all these stores. We go to local craftsmen, if it's available. Like we go to the mom and pop shops, and we'll buy locally. We'll buy Australian-made clothes where it might be $100 for like a dress shirt, where you could go down to Kmart and get a similar shirt.
But we're really
for a fraction of that price.
We're looking at it from a bigger perspective, and I like to, for myself, it's the triple P. It's my personal purchasing philosophy, and I always try to source things as local as possible, whether it be made locally, made in my state, made in my country, or possibly a company that's owned by someone in Australia, or if not, I move to America because that's where my roots are. But we're really looking at the big picture of nourishing our families. If we're not buying things that are made in Australia or buying things from businesses that are Australian owned, who's putting food on their table? So every time I go out to spend money, I'm thinking about who benefits from that money that I'm spending. There are families who have stores here that need me to come in and spend money in their store so that way they can feed their families. And that's the way I look at spending my money, our money.
Yeah. Well, let's say you bought I'll just make an example. Let's say you bought a T-shirt, and the T-shirt was made in China, and the T-shirt was $10. How much of that $10 actually goes into your economy that's going to, indirectly influence you and your family or your local economy? And let's say, so that's A. And then B is you've got a T-shirt that's made locally by local industries and, real people, real hands. Not that they're fake people overseas, but you know what I mean? Like
local people. Could
be your family member working in a factory that has a job putting food on the table for their family, but that same T-shirt is $20. So you're spending an extra $10 going, and in your head you're going, well, that's a ripoff because I can get it for $10. But only $2 of that $10 shirt is going back into your economy. Or if you buy a $20 shirt, maybe $15 of that is going back into your local economy. Does that make sense? And in the long run, if you're looking at a 30,000 foot view, that's going to change everything because it's going to stimulate your entire economy. And ultimately, that's going to translate back into better quality of life and economy for your own family and your own home, even though you spent $10 more for a shirt. So let's say you spent more money, but we're also knowing that they're going to use top quality materials and top quality craftsmanship. So not only are you supporting your local industry and economy, and families just like yours now have jobs, they're putting food on the table, they're putting their kids through school, rather than at home struggling or living on the dole that your taxes are paying for. There's jobs.
Well, not even jobs, but a lot of these people own businesses.
Yeah, it could
they
be
own
your
small businesses, and the less people shop at those small mom and pop owned businesses, the less, the more debt that they're going to have to go into, these, business owners, and then they have no legacy to pass on to their children.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's it. Legacy, I think, Carolina, you hit it on the head, is kind of a big thing. So ultimately we see a dissolving of the very, the hands and the hard work and the craftsmanship that our forefathers and women spent generations developing and getting good at, and then we've just outsourced it all. Now, I know we're in the information and digital age, and a lot of stuff is coming to us that way, like this video or podcast, but there's still, physical products where we purchase them and we have a choice, or we should have a choice, that I can buy them here. So back to the, you got the $10 shirt and the $20 shirt. Yeah, your $20 shirt costs more, or if it's an electronic device or a piece of leather-made goods or whatever it is, it might cost you more, but the qualities should be a lot better. You're going to have real craftsmanship, better quality. It's going to last you so much longer. And so what that means is you buy less stuff. So again,
but you might actually pass it on to your kids, like the toaster.
Yeah. So we were talking about this. Like, you buy a piece of technology today, like a toaster, and it only lasts. I mean, we bought one when we got to Australia, and I think it broke maybe 16 months in. Broke, and you go, oh well, it was a cheap toaster. We'll just go get another one because they're so cheap, and I can go to Costco and just get a new toaster. Who cares? Well, who cares is what happens to the old toaster.
Where do all the old toasters go?
Yeah, and how many millions of these toasters break every year, and washing machines, and TVs.
If you go back 30 years ago, did they break like that?
Not so much. I remember my folks, we had the same, washing machine for decades because stuff was quality made. So, and our grandparents, they would save up and buy a car cash. They weren't so, I have to have everything, and the latest iPhone and the latest big screen TV and the latest bunch of stuff.
With the televisions.
Yeah.
Well, now we're
derailing a little bit here.
When the flat screens came out, you would just see these huge, perfectly good televisions
on the side
on the side of the road. Like, are we that insane to just give away? We don't even want them. We're just going to put them outside our house. And, you can drive by and smash it. You can take it. You can do whatever. That's insane.
So,
a perfectly good device.
This leads to our next piece of this. The 30,000-foot view of all this is we're buying mass quantities of often poorly made products, which some, half of which we may or may not need. It's just cheap. But then it breaks, or we no longer find it useful, and where does it go? The world's out there screaming about sustainability and the health of the planet, but we're consuming all this stuff which is made of plastics and metal, and they're just filling up landfills everywhere. But hey, don't worry, we can just go down to Costco and restock up our house full of this stuff again.
And we wonder, what is the world going to look like in 20 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now?
And that's really it, because we have 2 young girls, for those of you who've been following us know, and you probably have kids, and what's the legacy going to be for them? So to kind of wind this down, we would encourage you to really give this some thought. If there's something that you really have to have or want, and you can get it online or overseas for a fraction of the price, just think about the 30,000-foot view of that money. Where is it going? Who is it helping? Who is it potentially hurting?
Well, be conscious of that.
Conscious. But
it's your choice.
Instead of the criteria just being, well, it's the cheapest thing I can find, maybe the criteria should be, quality, local, sustainably made. So we're looking after our future generations, our future economy. We're looking after the planet, using these as our criteria rather than, well, it's just cheap and I can get a boatload of it for next to nothing. And we're making short-term, it's a short-term, quick gratification, in our opinion, for long-term destruction and damage. That's what we see. That's our 2 cents. So
support your local business. It's hard owning a business. As a business owner,
many of you listening
difficult.
might be struggling. You might be in one breath complaining about how your business is struggling, but then with the same mindset, you're getting your sources for your business. You're getting them from overseas and wondering why no one's coming to your business because they're getting their stuff from overseas. So it's like
the cycle has to
the
stop.
cycle has to stop in our
And
opinion.
we see it. We see it all the time. Business owners come into the office and they'll say, "Oh, we're having a hard time." Like the tire shop owner, she was having a hard time, selling her tires. And then someone calls asking for the quote of a particular tire, and she gave it to the guy. And the guy goes, "Oh, well, I can get them cheaper online." Well,
of course.
Yeah, you get them cheaper, but where is the money going? In
That's right.
this particular case, it was a family-owned tire shop, and it would have helped them.
So, in closing,
put your money where your mouth is.
Put your money where your mouth is. If you're over here talking about the environment and talking about the economy and talking about, I think everybody can understand shop local and everybody's talking about it, but nobody or few people are putting their money where their mouth is. Do it. And
ask questions and think about things. Make your own personal purchasing philosophy. Make every dollar that you make count.
Yeah, so when it comes to like clothes or electronics and the things that we have massive quantities of, just buy less of it. Less stuff. You don't need that much stuff. That's the consumerism you've been marketed to.
Or go to the thrift store and you can buy it.
Carolina's favorite thing. Renew, recycle. So, that's our 2 cents. Do your forefathers proud. Buy and shop local and demand local. When you go to your shops, even start asking, do you have anything that's made here? Do you have anything made local?
Yeah, start talking about it.
Talk it up.
I think the more we talk about it, the more people will start to realize and demand it.
Demand better for you and your family.
That's what we're trying to do.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Todd.
And Carolina.
God bless, guys. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Bye.
I love you, Daddy. We're counting on you. My mom is a renegade.
Thanks for tuning in to Renegade Radio. If you haven't yet done so, please subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a rating and review. Also, like us on Facebook at facebook.com/TRFTribe. Please email us your questions for FAQ Friday, and we'll do our best to answer them in a future show. Simply email us at faq@therenegadefamily.com. If you got value from this episode and know someone else that would benefit from it as well, please share it with them.
Changing the world is going to start in your house. This is Dr. Todd, and from my family to yours, we wish you all the best. God bless, and we'll catch you soon.